Good morning, good morning. What is going on, everyone? I hope that we're all having a great one so far this morning. I noticed the bell didn't ring. That means Thinkorswim's doing its usual Monday morning BS. How are we doing today? Let's go Joe Papa, Goose Juan, Jake Adventure, Chill Ghost, Jack Black, Mr. Charles. Let's go, let's go. AMD is pretty insane today, guys. My gosh, just seeing the way that this thing is popping off is wild, up over 35% here at open. Now, there is an immediate red candle. Don't be too surprised by this. Don't be too surprised by that red candle there. It did have a pretty insane move this morning, though, nonetheless, up 35%, but keep in mind that some pullback could be in the mix, in the cards, so to say. The official all-time high, I believe, was just touched right in pre-market there. It was actually straddling the all-time high, essentially. If we go to a 4-hour chart and we zoom out, the old all-time high was right around 227.30, so we did officially make a new one here this morning with a new all-time high of 227.78. All right. All right. With a little sell-off at open, too. Couple red candles, but that is wild. If you guys didn't know, OpenAI is looking to take a 10% stake in AMD. They said that a deal was reached. They reached a deal. They could see Altman's company take a 10% stake. AMD moved up 35%. That is a wild move there. AMD issued OpenAI a warrant for up to 160 million shares of AMD common stock with vesting milestones tied to both deployment volume and AMD share price. 6 gigawatts of AMD's Instinct graphics processing units over multiple years. OpenAI probably has to get deals with everybody with how much power they're going to need and how much chips they're going to need. Wow. Lot of little stats in here, like the deal accounts for a dedicated 10 gigawatt portion of OpenAI's broader 23 gigawatt infrastructure roadmap. Estimated 50 billion per gigawatt. Wow. Beginning with the 1 gigawatt rollout in 2026 between this AMD and OpenAI deal. And AMD still down from open. 1, 2, 3, 4 immediate red candles. Gotta love it. Go check on the QQQ here. No, Goose. I'm not saying anyone's valuing AMD at 600. I don't know where you heard that one. I hope I didn't misspeak. AMD sitting around 216 right now. Pretty crazy pullback there. Go check on NVIDIA. I know that they moved down initially. Oh yeah, still in the red. Still in the red. Intel moved down initially too, but they came back very well. I was eyeing up a lot of chip stocks today in pre-market, of course, with that AMD news. MU is actually following along, up 4%. Funny enough for them. This is Tom Jason. I thought you knew that. Do I really need my mic up? Let me know. I hope not, Goose said. What are the support levels for NVIDIA? Let's see. NVDA. Ah, I got you, George. Let's see. He said trading stream limited. Let's go see. Ah, I see there. Yeah, so those are, he was talking about future exercise points. But I mean, if you think about it, if that's what they're looking for exercise points, you would think that, you would think that there could be a, like, it's not necessarily a target, I mean, there's so many technical terms in the stock market world that, like, you can't just say it's a target, but it definitely seems like something that they would think is semi-attainable. And it probably will be, given the space that AMD's in. Realistically, the space that they're in is pretty insane. Good morning, George. Thanks for joining up. Adventure said the Robinhood app is glitching. Probably from AMD. It's probably causing a lot of slowdown on the app. That's hilarious. All right, we got our Thinkorswim back up, which crashed on us. Oklo. Don't worry, we'll be all good now. Every morning, every Monday morning, right at open. Always does that, but Oklo up 6.7% today. Very nice action. Got the nuclear stock starting to move. Look at that daily chart of Oklo. It's coming back in a beautiful way. How about NNE, Nano Nuclear? Pretty solid here. 47.16. Let's see. 47.50 resistance here on NNE. It's right around the all-time high. It's not quite there. The all-time high is up to 48. Just slightly above current levels. Not a ton, but slightly. Just slightly. Good morning, Steve. Fab and Liz. Sir Charles, what's up? Fab and Liz said both Robinhood and Webull are glitching. No. Now that's a tough one. You got both down at one time. Bull is down 2.7% on their stock. Robinhood is up a little bit, 1.2%. They did actually gap up this morning, though, with Robinhood. Testing the first support here at 150. Really not a bad spot here. Give me 1 minute, Jack, and I'll try to look for you here. Give me a second. Got to go to different screens for that one and get the ticker. Or the code. Let's see. I know things got weird with it. Oh, come on. Let's see. Yeah, so with Next, they actually added more shares, is what they did. Or more contracts, sorry. Sorry, I misspoke there a little bit. More contracts is what they added. The first initial big day, around 11,000 volume came in. The open interest was around 4,700. The open interest climbed to around 14,000 after that. That was a big jump in open interest. It showed that a lot of that 11,000 volume stayed in. Now we got that happening again, where we had another like 12,000 volume hit. And again, the open interest climbed another 10,000 essentially. Like 8 to 10,000, depending on when you look. Robinhood doesn't show options? Yeah, I know. I know. That is one of the big reasons why with options, Robinhood's not the best, because you can't plot them out like you can on Thinkorswim. At least I don't think you can. It's been a while since I've checked out Robinhood, but Joe Papa says, I feel like Weeble's data is behind. It could be a little bit today if everyone's saying it's glitching out, so be careful. A lot of people are saying that they can't even sell right now. Demir said, Tom, still too late to enter AMD. Let's see. Advanced Money Destroyer. Or Advanced Money Dispenser now. Somebody called it the Advanced Money Duplicator in the chat. That was Christian. I thought that was hilarious. Still too late, Demir said, to enter. Yeah, I still think we could wait a little while here. Honestly, with AMD. I just don't love an entry here. Even if it does run up some more from this point. I mean, I think that we're really grasping at straws here. At this point. I really do. I can't believe it's up this much. I mean, that's a ton, guys. 35% or whatever it was that opened. My gosh. That is crazy for a stock this large. Good morning, Yvonne. They asked, what should the target profit level be? Are you looking at AMD? Because it might need to be right here with the way it's starting to sell off and turn over. I mean, I feel like it could fall back to $200, no problem. Although I do think it'll find some support around 210 first, but might not be terrible here, really. Yeah, I would say either somewhere close to here or closer to 224 to 225 again. I think 224, 225 would be ideal, Yvonne. It'd be ideal, but that doesn't mean it's going to get back there. We have Intel 3820. But I do think that there's a good shot it will. It's just we're going to have a lot of volatility with that news that happened, and it was up a little bit too much, you know. Sometimes things can happen a little bit too quickly. Intel's doing great, though. 2.9% on the day. Was just up over 3%. That's pretty solid by them. Really glad to see movement like that with Intel. That is solid there. What's your view on Rocket Lab? I feel like it's a pretty interesting sector that Rocket Lab's in, being, you know, more of a space stock. Now, for those of you that don't know, Rocket Lab actually is kind of like a SpaceX competitor in a way. You know, they make these rockets that you can send up into space. Let me see if they are reusable. Let's see. Yeah, they are designed for reusability. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I figured that they had that since everyone said that they were competitors like that, but it's a very interesting sector that they're in. You know, given that space is a very, like, niche topic, and it's also something that we haven't done a ton with yet. It's not necessarily like something that I'm looking to you know, take off into the stratosphere, but I gotta say, it has been doing very, very well here in the short term. Love the way it's moving up to 57. I mean, it has been getting into the stratosphere lately, at least on the stock side of things. Now, again, I don't follow like space super closely, especially lately. You know, we've been more focused on interest rates, the Federal Reserve, things like that. With how good this company's doing, I wonder what's been fueling a lot of this overall rally with them. But again, I don't follow Rocket Lab super closely, but I gotta say, I love the momentum here. I think it's awesome. It's breaking out above recent highs, which is great. I feel like it could continue in the short term to like $60 plus. I love the setup. Yeah, I love the setup. Love the way this stock runs. Sometimes whenever it starts going on these really good runs, it'll run for multiple weeks at a time, which is a good sign if you're looking for uptrend. So yeah, overall I like it, especially for like shorter term plays, scalps, things like that. It can be very advantageous with this one. Yeah, I still think that there could be some steam. There can always be down days mixed into the uptrends, but I do feel like that for the most part, it can continue pretty well. Steve said, dang, what's up with Meta lately? META pulling back down underneath 700. That was a big pullback, down 1.8%. Go check out the daily. Meta double topped and has been really pulling back. Yeah, that is a rough thing to see there, Steve. It is brutal. When was their Meta Connect? It says it was on September 17th and 18th. Yeah, like literally like their stock double topped right as that Meta Connect conference happened. It was pretty strange. Right around there. That's pretty insane, though. I gotta say, that is quite the drop-off. I'm out here looking for news articles. Can't really find anything too crazy like what they're attributing this to, but that is quite the drop-off. Yeah, I probably should, Demure. Well, I go live every single morning at market open. What if the market doesn't open, right? How could I go live? I mean, technically it's not wrong, but I see what you're saying there. But technically it's not wrong. Because if the market's not opening, then I can't go live. I'm going to say every single day that the market is open, just so Demir knows. You know, of course we'll miss a couple days here and there. I like it, Demir. Never a bad idea. Clear up some confusion, really. You'd be surprised how much confusion is out there, so. What's up, Jake? Michael said Tom fixed Robinhood. I wish I could. Now that would be a real feat right there. I'd be loved for that one. Do you think Energy Fuels still has steam to go, Yvonne said. Steve's is working now. That's good. Is it letting you place trades whenever you want? Pat's is working. Okay, cool. What's up, Faroom? Good morning, good morning. Yeah, Energy Fuels, more room to go. I'm going to be honest, today, it looks a bit flat. It looks like it's turning over a little bit intraday. I don't love the overall setup right now. I'm not loving it here. I don't love the way in which that it's just bouncing and chopping around. You know, it's not really getting any directional action. It was uptrending from open. I did notice that it started to kind of give out on this trend here, but it's not. It doesn't really line up great. You can just kind of tell how there was like higher low, and then higher low, but now this recent one actually broke back under that low, which isn't my favorite sign, but you know, again, it's not super set in stone that it's gonna go down because of that. Seems like it's actually holding up pretty well at the moment. How is UEC? How's the rest of the uranium sector? URA itself's doing great, up 5.6%. Wow. Wow, uranium. That is nuts right there. Let's go see Advanced Money Dispenser here. Pulling back. I bet everyone's trying to take profits this morning, right at open. Everyone's like, give me my profits. Especially with it falling, they're probably going crazy. Mason said, everyone freaking out about Robinhood is hilarious. Been telling everyone Robinhood is trash. I know, right? You can only speak it until they learn, but, you know, again, there's some people out there that I feel like they would even be okay with the problems just because it looks okay, or it's simple to use. I always have the argument, look, stocks are like the most complicated thing out there. Why would you want to do something that's super simple with them? I think it's fine if you're just buying up stock and selling it and doing like cash secure puts, things like that. I think Robinhood's fine, but if you're getting as deep into options as we get, I think you got to start getting into something more advanced. Tesla, what's going on with them today? Wow, they turned over here at open. They're not looking terrible. I get it, though, you know. You guys are hating on the move. That happens, I guess, whenever you turn over intraday. Let's see that 1 minute drop. It's still up 1.7% on the day. It has a big gap to fill down towards 431 to 430, which will be a big area to keep in mind. 431 to 430. 430, of course, nice whole dollar every $10 levels or so. Every $10 or so, there's a bit of psychological support or resistance. Of course, like, you know, 430, 440, 450. Easy cash. Scalped AMD puts. There we go. That's a beauty. Yeah, continuing to just bleed off here. Very consistent to the downside. Weebles currently. Now we can play Kesha music and start partying. What's that song called? Don't Stop or something? What's up with AMD? Fiona said, why is it up so much? AMD is going to take a 10% stake. A deal has been agreed to, and OpenAI is going to take a 10% stake in AMD. AMD will deploy 6 gigawatts of their Instinct GPUs over multiple years, beginning with a 1 gigawatt rollout in 2026. Pretty crazy there. TikTok. That's it, Demir. You got it. That song was the shit when I was in like the 5th grade. Good to see Palantir up 5% after Friday's sell-off, Jake just said. Palantir moving up pretty well. Yeah, that's decent. It's actually coming back from Friday. It's almost filled the whole entire Friday move back. That's pretty insane. I didn't realize it was coming back that much today. A lot of the comeback happened in after hours Friday, too. But yeah, I mean, even today, though, still great action. I don't think I even know that one, Demir. I bought some Amazon calls, Adventure said. AMZN bouncing around 216, back to the upside. It's actually down 0.5% today. Granted, it had that big sell-off today at open, but weird V-shaped recovery going on. Going back to our watch list here. Nano nuclear energy now up 19%. Wow, and it started turning over a few minutes ago, so it was up even more than that. SMR, another nuclear stock, up 7% plus. Applied Digital, moving okay. 6.5%, pretty solid. Goose said like it. Thinkorswim or Weeble? Definitely Thinkorswim, Goose. I like Thinkorswim quite a bit. I actually give Thinkorswim very high praises. They mess up very, very rarely. Now, I would say in the past year, they've had... what would you say, Mason? Like 1 or 2 days of glitches? It's hard to say. I don't feel like I've heard a whole lot about it, the past couple years. But definitely one time. I do remember one specific scenario within the past year where they did have an issue one day with everyone. And it pissed everybody off. But honestly, everybody had issues that day. It wasn't really just them, but... I wonder if people like Interactive Brokers had issues, and I also wish I could remember which day it was, but nonetheless, I think it's really solid though. Way better than Robinhood. Weeble is pretty close, but it just doesn't have the capability Thinkorswim has, or the way that you can look at options and just I would say just the sheer capability. There's just a lot more available on Thinkorswim. Cameco Corp, CCJ, 88.40, 88.50, up 4%. Nice action out of them. Taiwan Semiconductors was actually doing well today, up 4.5%. Very interesting there. Look at the way that they're popping up. That is actually a really good move in the short term. I see, Goose. I think that it probably was April 9th, Timothy. That would make sense. Goose said they used Thinkorswim before but stopped because they didn't trade Bitcoin. I see. Yeah, they do now, luckily. Almost everybody does, which is nice, but... Google looks nice, Aller said. GOOGL. A 0.51%. Nice green candles. Pretty good PA. I like how it hit 248.50 this morning. Gosh, 248. Very nice move though, 0.48%. I like to see it up in the green, even though it's not up a ton. It's helping out the S&P a bit. It is one of the worst performers in the S&P today, although I gotta say, Apple, Meta, Amazon, Nvidia, everything's just been slightly down today and choppy, except for Microsoft and Tesla. Google's up 0.5%, so they're not up a ton. SPY's right around break even, actually, on the morning. Now, they've been dropping ever since open, but overall, not very bad here. You're looking to going back? Hell yeah, let's go. I think it'll help you. Especially if you get into their scanners and cool things. It'd be nice if Apple could test that high of the day in pre-market, Sir Charles said. Let's see where it is in pre-market. Up to 259.50. Oh, yeah. Yeah, getting very close to 260 there. That's a bit crazy. Wow, okay. Jake said, someone stated AMD price target of 600 by 2030. I'd like to substantiate that. Yeah, Jake, whenever you go and you read that, you need to go into the Trading Stream Limited channel if that's where you saw it. I think that we were talking about that earlier. Mike quoted it up this morning. It said that the two between AMD and OpenAI, and this is what they're referencing, AMD and OpenAI, it says the two signed a definitive agreement for OpenAI to deploy 6 gigawatts of AMD graphic processing units over multiple years, the company said Monday in a statement. AMD has given OpenAI a warrant for as many 160 million shares, which will vest as milestones are achieved. Those targets require AMD's stock price to continue to increase in value, and future exercise points include a tranche tied to a share price of $600. AMD shares closed Friday at 164.67. Now, that is a pretty big, milestone, right? But they're saying future exercise points include a tranche tied to a share price of $600. So, you would think that there was a thought of $600 coming into play eventually, right? How many years would that take? That's the big question. But nonetheless, I think that that's what people are actually looking for a bit. Especially since we had that, since they're doing it in that type of way. Where milestones need to be achieved, the stock needs to continue to increase in value, and those exercise points being tied to 600 is a big deal. Mason said they might be building some support here. It looks like they are. I actually like the way that they're trying to at least form an intraday base. Yeah, it seems like a better spot than anywhere else throughout this morning so far. I'm all for it, Steve said. Yay, I'll take it too. Bring on 600. No, it's probably going to take a long time. I wish I had more info on the deal itself. Let's see if we can control F, search up 600. And it's not showing me. That's great. Oh, it must be on this chart is where they're getting it somehow. Yeah, they didn't mention anything about $600 in this article here. Yeah, multiple share price milestones, it sounds like. Wish I knew what the exact ones were. I'm sure that we'll get info on it, though. I'll be searching up a lot of stuff about that today, that's for sure. Yeah, it's wild, Jake. It might take some time, but it can definitely get there. It can get there. It seems a bit wild, I understand, but it definitely could happen. MSTR is going well today. Finally moving, Goose said. MicroStrategy, MSTR. Well, strategy now. Yeah, pretty good again. 3.25. They've had all green candles since Friday, September 26th. So a couple Fridays ago. Straight up. Pretty solid to see, I'd say. AMD is tanking, Mr. Charles. 205. Wow, it is kind of tanking down, isn't it? That is no bueno there. We should have looked at the book map for AMD. Advanced Money Destroyer. It's probably been posted up in the Discord 15 times this morning. You could probably go find it right there, Goose. Let's go see AMD. Well, we'll look at it now at least. We'll check it out now. Let's see what 200 looks like. Around 85,000 shares at 200. Not near as much as I actually thought. I thought 200 would look a lot more stout. One moment, one moment. AMD is a wild one, though, isn't it? This is what we're looking like on the heat map. Like I said, around 86,000 shares at 200. Not as much as I would have thought. Not as much as I would have thought. Maybe we'll actually see that hold up today as support, but it's not as large. So, I mean, gets me thinking, like, wow, like, will we hold that? Might be a tough hold. See you later, Demure. Have a good one. Brain said we looking Gucci on Oklo today. Uh-oh. Coming out with the Gucci terms? Oh, no. Let's see. 10% on Oklo today. Up to 146, 147. Really nice action from Open there. I like the intraday move back, too. Ooh, Brain woke up whenever it was at 146 and then it dropped to 136. Oh no, a little bit late. I see. A little late today. SPY's having some great action. 0.17% back to the upside. This is pretty solid by SPY. Very solid. It's the best shutdown in the history of shutdowns ever, Brain said. It probably will go down in history as that if the SPY keeps holding up as well as it has been so far throughout the shutdown. I can't believe how positive the shutdown has been. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's pretty crazy that the SPY has been so positive, or do you think that it's a bit surprising? The historical data really didn't show anything terrible. It actually looked pretty good for the most part. Really looked pretty solid. For which one, no, for which one, no? Brain said, we had no government for years when I lived in Belgium. Business boomed like never before. I don't blame you there. I don't blame him. That's wild to hear. Was it really shut down for a long time? I'm gonna have to look how that worked, Brain. Wow, that's crazy. No is looking at Bloom Energy for support and resistance. Support, I have around 85.50 and 85. I also have it at 88. So 88 and then 84.50 to 85. But I do think 88 in the short term is a pretty big level. So keep your eyes on 88. It's going to be a tough one to break down at BE. I would assume it tries to hold this. Looking pretty nice. I wish I could have seen that in action, Brain. That would have been nice. Reddit holding a 200 canal says. Oh, wow. Pretty good psychological level that it bounced at. Yeah, $200 holding up really great here. That's a solid hold for sure. Charles says, no economic data means no bad news right now. Out of sight, out of mind. Imagine if the data was showing the economy going terrible or something. That would be pretty rough, but I think we'll see a lot of other data points. I kept seeing that the Federal Reserve would rely on private data, although it might not be as accurate. So I'm really curious how that situation's gonna go. Looking at some headlines for the morning. Nike's turnaround will, quote, take a while, their CEO says. That's what you want to hear. You want to have the CEO go out and say it's going to take a while to turn around. Anyone stream lagging? It could be lagging here. Darn. I do see that it does have a slight indication of that. Apple back to green, Jake said. Let's see Apple. Apple's daily looks great. Like it wants to try to go for a much larger breakout. I could see it actually running up and breaking out above 260. This is going to be a big test for Apple. I believe this is their all-time high. Let me... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I want to see. 260 for a possible breakout. I bet you that there's a million shares at 260. Let's see. Is there? Nope. Not quite a million. There's 592,000, though. So quite a bit. Tom, what do you think of Cenex? C-E-N-X? Let's see. Century Aluminum. We've been seeing metals go crazy lately. Cenex looks like it's been on quite the run. I will say, though, it seems a bit overextended. Now, it looks like it wants to run up to a new high, which would be awesome. Let's go ahead and let it. But I gotta say, this is a tough level here. And again, it's a little bit too high for me. Now, if you're looking for like a short-term play, I guess I could justify it on like a quick breakout, but that's it. If you zoom out a bit, it's a crazy chart, Charles said. Let's go see the weekly really fast. Oh, wow. I didn't realize it would be in a channel from 2009. This is a crazy chart. Look at how this thing has been within the channel multiple times. It's actually touched and bounced perfectly off this. Yeah, I wouldn't touch this at resistance here. I would be very worried that it does not break out, given how this one's moved. Wow, what a crazy play. All right, UUUU's up 7.5%. Yeah, pretty solid still, Jake. Pretty solid. Right now, it's just sitting at 7. I like this morning how UUUU ran and broke out a little bit, but they dipped, and the good thing about this dip is that they held the support level very perfectly. That was a great sign as far as this morning goes. Now, if that would have broke down, that would have been a terrible sign. We probably would have seen more sellers come in and stack up and start to snowball the stock down a bit. What's leading the watches to the downside? QUBT, Quantum Computing. Wow, down 11%. Yeah, that is a crazy move there, QUBT. Excited AMD puts made enough for 2 to 3 meals. There we go. Where at? Hopefully 2 or 3 good steak dinners. Let's go see App Lovin' pulling back down 3.73%. Pretty good pullback. Down to 657. Now that's what we want. FSLY, 2.4%. How about FSLR? Up only 0.6, but yeah. FSLY was pulling back a bit more there on the downside watch list. Let's go back to the upside watch list. Nobody likes seeing things red. Let's look at some green. CCJ, Cameco, new high of the day just made here recently. CCJ. Trying to go for a continuation setup there on the 1 minute. Really nice action, I'd say. Iceman said SoFi. Brain says Lumen. SoFi's on fire again. 5.69%. Damn. SoFi was dipping. For some reason, I thought they were hot last week. I guess they were not, but they are starting to come up off that dip, which is starting to look like a decent dip buy opportunity, actually. That one's getting me excited. SoFi, Lumen. Brain's looking at Lumen. Really nice daily chart, up 11.7%. Third on the watch list here. Had to add him on. Really good PA, though. SoFi's due for a correction, Goose said. When you say that, Goose, are you talking about back to the upside or to the downside? Do you also mean on a daily or an intraday level? I'm curious. What do you see for Uber? No is asking. Uber is on fire. Look at them on today. 3%, running right up towards the top end of the range, but they're 50 cents away from a critical resistance at 100. That is rough. Be very careful there today. That is insane. Yeah, Uber up a little bit too much today, though, I'd say. As far as today goes in the next, couple of hours, I would be very worried of resistance here. 99.50 to 100 is going to be tough to break. Very tough. What's the volume on that candle? Let's see. 214,000, not as much as I would have thought, actually, but I guess each stock's different. Just got out of BITF, Fisher said. What do y'all think? Bitfarms. I don't think I've ever looked at this one. BITF, Bitfarms. Seems like a very interesting cross between crypto and marijuana plants. Bitfarms. No, it does seem like something that would deal with like crypto or crypto mining, something like that. Farming, I guess you could maybe say. I don't know. Bitfarms. It catches my imagination on the name, that's for sure. BITF. Let's see. Crypto link. It's definitely a crypto stock, like I thought. Being bits. I'm not seeing a ton of stuff here. Bitfarms, a global energy and compute infrastructure company. are they doing here? This guy is renowned for leadership in cloud storage systems, supports large-scale data centers, easier to manage AI training, HPC, hybrid cloud environments. Okay. Seems like they're going to be doing a lot with the crypto, you know, the cloud, AI, data centers, anything up that alley. So, BITF. Very interesting sector that they're in. Haven't heard about this one till today, but it really does, Goose. I wish I could give you a better answer, Fisher, but I just want to be honest. You know, it's not one that I've looked at a ton, so I don't know the ins and outs of their business, which has a big deal on their future outlook. So, hard to say there. But in the ultra short term, I got to say the stock is on fire. It looks like something that could possibly go for a breakout here. I would be careful at resistance, but around $3.60, if it starts to break, maybe you can catch it on a good run. Rip AMD, Mr. Charles. Oh no, still falling. Oh yeah, AMD tried forming that base a while ago. The base is actually still held up, but it is pulling back a bit here. Down 26% today. Not usually what you want to see. Just exited some scalps with a profit on AMD puts, Andrew said. Beautiful. Now I'm glad it pulled back there, just for you. Mara's up 4.9%. Let's go see Mara. 5.5%. Sheesh. It was up a lot, Jake. Up over $20 a share there for a second before it turned over, like literally right after you said that, which is funny. But yeah, I was looking pretty perfect there on the recovery. Pretty big pullback. Had some in CLOZ. CLOZ. Is this actually what you meant to say? Oh, you for safety. I got you, Jake. Yeah. Eldridge BBB-B CLO ETF. I'll have to look into that one. I haven't looked into claws too much, or close. BMNR, Goose is saying. Bitmine immersion. BMNR is pretty insane. They deal a lot with Ethereum. Setting up kind of like the strategy of Ethereum, like MicroStrategy in a way, I guess. Alex said, what do you think will happen with Tesla with the secret announcement? Secret announcement. It might be a Tesla bot, Brain. Are they actually supposed to have one? You know, I don't know. Is there just rumors or... That would make sense, though. It'd be awesome if it was the robot. Wow. It's the cheap EV. Oh, now that one would make sense. That's a good guess. I thought I like that one. That one makes sense. That's the wrong stock. FSD 14 today and cheap EV, if not tomorrow in October for sure, Slash said. Maybe I can get Tesla some hype back. You know, they had started falling off around the end of last week, but came back very well. CRWV falling, Yvonne said. Let's go see CRWV CoreWeave. Daily chart, really nice there. 144, 145. Go check on Stellantis really fast. Watching it come back quite well. Like to see that. 1088. There we go, there we go. Looking good. Go check on Ford, GM. Ford looking good too. General Motors. There we go. Those have been doing really nice lately. Let's go check QQQ really fast. I heard things about Tesla working with ACHR. Really? Archer Aviation. I have not heard that myself. That would be pretty wild, I think, if they did. What a run up by ACHR, though. I can see it continuing for a little while, too. Whenever it starts to run like this and trend, it can trend for multiple days at a time. This is awesome. Just a rumor, Sir Charles said. Gotcha, gotcha. Makes sense. Canal says, fishy how Tesla comes down a day before the announcement. It is up 3.5%, but I guess it could be fishy. I do think that as we go forward here, looking at Tesla stock and, watching it move, it just had some pretty massive runs to the upside lately. So just don't be too surprised to see some red mixed in. I don't think it's too fishy. It could just be normal price action here at this point. So Charles likes 14 as a target anyways. And they're talking about Archer. Not bad, 14, pretty close. SPY selling again, Canal said. Let's go see SPY. Pretty massive pullback there. Yes, it is selling off of 670.75, 671 resistance there. That's pretty big to see it rejecting again. If it really rejects there and fails to re-break out today, that would be rough. But it's in a pretty big range. We can see two different sides of this range here. We have the lower end of the range and the upper end, of course, and right now we actually just got close to the lower end for a bounce back. SPY selling again. It kind of looks like it, but just keep in mind that, this channel is pretty crazy. It looks like it might try to hold that bottom 670 support for a possible comeback. I don't love this price action, though. It seems very up and down, very choppy, hard to read in my eyes, but I am kind of actually leaning back towards a move higher here in the afternoon. That is more of what I'm watching for. How's Nvidia? Pulling back down. Wow, touched 187 and rejected. Not the best sign there for Nvidia. That is for sure. Jack says, I think after the government opens back up, we'll have some type of black swan day. That would be pretty rough. I sure hope not, but I hope you're wrong, Jack. Little black swan action. Hopefully it's nothing like a flash crash or anything like that. Hopefully something more normal. Watch it be that a lot of BS goes on while the government's shut down. I think after the government opens back up, we'll have some type of black swan with all this green hype. It feels like everything is overbought. I feel you. I mean, everything does seem like it's overbought lately. Whether you look at Tesla, you know, it's been explosive. You go to Palantir, you know, again, very explosive in the short term, pretty overbought. I know Friday was red. That's just one day. Even QQQ, SPY. Pretty straight up. From the April lows, I mean, it's been some of the most consistent, best price action that we've seen in a while. Now, there has been a little bit of pullback mixed in along the way, but I mean, when is there? Never, right? Almost every good uptrend has that. So I like it overall. I think the SPY has been fantastic, but I'm with you. It definitely feels like things are getting a bit overvalued, a bit overbought, overextended. Now, the thing is that people will say that for a year straight sometimes and then miss a whole lot of rally. So it's good to have more of a bullish tendency in the long term, but I understand where we're coming from here, thinking objectively about each situation and, you know, where we're at now. Who said we'll have a recession in 2025? Jim Cramer did. That's hilarious. Did he really? I will say a lot of people said that we would in 2025. I remember in 2024, the chances of recession in 2025 were like 60%, 65%, maybe even more than that at some points. You know, obviously at different points of the year, if something happens, then people freak out and the probabilities go through the roof, but you guys get what I'm saying. I'll never forget that, 2024. There were so many articles and headlines. I'm hoping I can find it. I'll get it somehow. I'll show you guys these headlines, I swear. Here's one from this year. Global brokerages raise recession odds. JP Morgan sees 60% chance. That was April of this year. Now, of course, that was April 5th. Right during some of the worst stuff, but I know in 24 they kept talking about the 2025 probabilities, and obviously each analyst or news outlet, etc., they might have their own, right? Each might be different, but there were a lot of articles out there talking about that. I wish I knew what the recession odds were on Kalshi at the end of 24 for this year, but there was a point in April where they said there was a 95% chance. Sheesh, Michael. Wow, that's a wild one. That one is wild, yeah. The premiums on APLD, it was literally so cheap last week, Varun says. APLD up 6.4%, getting a bit slow today, but yeah, I guess it did jump a lot more today. Tech is up, Brain said. Nvidia's not. Not at the moment. 1.72% to the downside. Of course, they're a bit different, but let's look at the rest. Meta's coming up pretty well. Amazon, okay. Again, maybe not the biggest tech. Apple's attempting a recovery, which is good. They were dipping the past 15 minutes or so. It'd be nice if Microsoft could break out to that new high of the morning. Up above 524, 524.50. Be awesome. How's the NASDAQ here? Starting to curl up a bit off of 606 support. All right. Canal says, how does the SPY book map look? We'll check it out. I always like to say this, though. ETFs on the book map don't generally look right. You know, every once in a while, you'll see a crazy buy wall on the SPY or something, like right here overhead at like 670, 370. That might help you seeing that sell wall stacked up there. But I will say, for the most part, we have to realize that the SPY is going to follow the S&P 500, which is the SPX, right? Even if there's a sell wall on SPY, it doesn't really matter. It's an ETF that's set up to follow something else. You know, so even if there's a sell wall, it's going to do what it's going to do. So that's the thing to remember with this one. No problem, Jack. No problem, no problem. That's awesome. Yeah, it goes for all ETFs, Jack. Yep. You know, GLD, SLV, XLE, XLV, XLB, shoot, what's another one? That's funny. There's so many ETFs out there. It's hard to come up with them when we want. QQQ. XHB. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. The room, it is going to be $149 for monthly, or you can do yearly for $649. If you use code BIGMONEY at checkout, it'll save you $100 on yearly. Let me get you a link really fast here. Throw it in the chat. Monthly is $149. Annual will be $697 with the big money code. Just use code BIGMONEY at that link that I sent. Getting lost here. There we go. Did the bots catch AMD? Probably not, because AMD moved in pre-market. So I would say not, Jake. Let me check. Let me triple check. I'd almost guarantee not, though. Yep. Nope. Nope, nothing on the bots with that, which is, you know, again, totally fine with us. It's been kind of hard to trade since open anyways, so. No, Michael, they're definitely not, because you can't trade options in pre-market trading. Yo, Canal, there's a whole lot of them out there, but I gotta say, I'm very surprised at how good a lot of them are playing out recently. My gosh, it seems like so many are up. Even like over 100%, there's a ton. Of course, they all don't work. But if you get a subscription, you can go into the SM chat, you can type /BMP, and you can look at /BMP active, which lists every active big money ticker, or you can do /BMP strongest, which shows a lot of these stronger big money trades out there. Right now, the strongest one is on GLW. It's up a 1,147%. My word. Wow. Baba is in second place here. Up 700%. Damn. You'll get it, Canal. You'll get it. You know, if there's 1 month where you know you're going to have some time and you're really looking to learn and study and really get into the game, I would wait a little while, wait till you have that month ready, and then just go really hard, you know, learn as much as you can within that month, and, you know, maybe that'll help you in the longer term get things going better. Rick said, last night's video started off double depressing. No Tom. Mike doesn't start with, what's going on, everyone? I lost focus and I had to start the video over. Rick. Of course, right? Gosh, that's funny. Sorry about that. 1 second. 1 second. All right. Talk to Mike. Let him know to try and keep everything as normal as possible when you're gone. Gotta mitigate. That's pretty hilarious. What's up, Yvonne? Yeah, we have live Q&As every single Wednesday. You can also ask us questions whenever you want if you join up into the trading floor. You'll get access to the SM chat as well as the getting started and trading smarter channels to help you find some strategies. But join up on the live Q&As. Ask away. That's the biggest way to learn. If you have questions, it's hard. It's very difficult because everybody's at a different point of their trading journey, right? Everybody. Questions are critical, especially if you're joining up on the trading floor. Of course, some are better than others, but none are terrible. Especially if you're confused. We don't want anyone to be confused like that. Got some emails here really quickly. Just been winging it on my own for the past few months. Market's so good, made money anyways, but really want to actually learn strategies and do it correctly. That's perfect, Yvonne. You're into options, right? Just want to triple check. Just want to triple check because we mainly deal with options. Haha, let's go, brain. Haha, that's funny. Blacksmithing the algorithms for us. Okay. That's more true than you probably think. That's funny. TSLA going nuts here, 3.7%. We might see a new high of this morning. That would be nice thing to see by Tessie, which has been a bit slow here the past few minutes as it got close to resistance. Slowed down a bit. Nvidia's actually on pretty large support from today. A large level. Watch 184 for a possible bounce here. Wow. Yvonne said no, just buying shares with cash. Feel like I'm not that smart enough to understand options. Ah, I gotcha, Yvonne. Yeah, I'd hate for you to join the trading floor because the trading floor is almost all options. So, you know, just realize that if you do sign up. We do have something called the Intro to Options course, which might help you on your beginning journeys into options. If you're interested in those, let me know. The biggest thing with options is just getting go ahead and get a paper trading account or a paper account and just jump in and start trying to trade some. So like if you find a day trading opportunity where you're going to trade shares on something, try to just go check out the options. They're not that hard in reality. They are pretty complicated, but you know, I would say after like a week or so, you'll probably get just about, you know, just about there. Which is more profitable in the long run, Yvonne said. In theory, options would be more profitable, but again, there's going to be a learning curve. If you're just day trading, options are generally way more profitable. Bank of America running up 50-70, 50-75 resistance coming into play here. This is a big level. Praying for a fall back now with Oklo. He sold out. Never bad to take some profits. Now let's see how it goes. It is slowing up a little bit. I wonder if it'll consolidate for a slight jump back. Go check on SPY again. Coming back alive. Just broke back through 670.80. where it had rejected multiple times today. That's good to see. That's good. That's good. Brain said, could be worth considering creating a Discord chat on the channel for buys only. Yeah, it could. It could. What would we say? Shares only channel? I don't know. You could just day trade the options trades with shares in reality, but, you know, they just won't be quite the same, but we're generally options out here. QQQ 606 bounce back up. We do shares for the long term, though. Go check BA moving higher, 221.50. Up to almost 2%. There we go. Look at Boeing coming back alive on this daily chart. They had some action last week. Even a couple weeks ago, they started gapping up a bit. Now, things got a bit slow right after that gap up, but they had some good news with some 797 litigation, I believe, regulation. They were allowed to sign off on 797s again, I believe. It was a pretty big deal. The stock was moving for a couple days and then boom, right back down. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Brain. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I would definitely start by just, you know, I would start, if you're going to get into options at all, and you day trade right now with regular shares, just go to some paper trades. Just go try to just grab some calls on stuff that you're going to paper trade to the upside, or puts on stuff to the downside, and you'll generally see how they move and how they work. And, you know, you'll catch on really quickly how you could catch yourself in some bad situations and, you know, things like that. But get some trades under your belt paper trading for sure. For sure. That way you can also just see what it looks like and understand the fluctuation, because it's going to be a lot harder to manage than shares will be. Managing it will be a bit harder because of that extra added volatility, and, you know, you might have to enter a bit lighter sometimes, and other times you'll have to enter more aggressively, and it just depends on how volatile the option is as well. Couple added steps and things to think about, but it gets to the point after a few times where it's just like, you know, snapping your fingers. It just, you look at it and you just already know, you know. Chewy God Candle, let's see. That was a learning experience. Do you guys remember whenever Chewy was going nuts last year and it was due to Roaring Kitty? That was pretty hilarious. Went insane with the cat. They said, I'll never forget that one. Yeah, it was a wild day. I can't believe Roaring Kitty, that one time that they did a live stream and then they came out and they looked like they were all hurt, like in casts and stuff. I thought that was pretty hilarious. That was quite the spectacle, I gotta say. I bet the lawyers were begging them not to do anything. Brain cried. Alrighty, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and call the stream there. I appreciate you guys for joining up today. Thanks for being here, of course. And if you ever want to join or check out options, of course, we have the trading floor, which, you know, I'll send that link in the chat right now. But if you're somebody that wants to learn options, shoot me a message on Discord and check out what I'm sending in the chat right here. Check out the intro to options course. It's a pretty awesome one. Teaches you a little bit about options, how to get started with them, different beginning strategies. Of course, we have an advanced one as well where things get a lot crazier. But yeah, check that out. I can even give you guys a good deal. Just shoot me a message and we can work it out. But let's go. Let's have a great one. As always, thank you guys. Thank you, Brain, Canal, Jake, No, Varoom, of course, Yvonne, Jack Black, Mr. Charles, Canal, Sir Charles, Goose, Iceman, Mason, of course, Steve, Autumn, Fiona, Adventure World, Demure, Coconut, Aller, Juan. How could I forget Juan? Let's go. See you guys later. See you in the Discord, of course. If you need anything, shoot me a message. Don't be afraid to shoot me an email either. Always help you guys out. Have a great